MUJAARIB down the centre of the course seems to come out a little bit slowly now. MUJAARIB's about 3-4 lengths off them. MUJAARIB is starting to warm up the inside, and MUJAARIB is coming home hard at King Neptune. MUJAARIB, King Neptune lugs out. They're going to hit the line. Whoa, not going to split them.
The average thoroughbred racehorse doesn't win its first start. If, however, it wins its second start, it's already above average. When it wins its third consecutive start, it's not by any stretch of the imagination a fluke. But when a horse wins its fourth consecutive start, and it's a Group 2 race, then you have a very, very serious horse on your hands. This is the short story of a horse called MUJAARIB, trained by champion trainer and international ambassador, Michael de Kock. This is his story, and he goes into the SANSUI Summer Cup as the first horse ever to be the favourite and to be unbeaten.
You said he would have to step up to the plate, and he certainly did that, because if there was a horse that really had solid Group 1 form, it was White Line Fever, and he beat him good and solid, even though he received weight from him.
Sure, yeah, he got quite a healthy weight allowance for him, but again, you know, he was stepping up into company he hadn't got close to before. So, you know, every time he's run, he's come out with a higher rating, so he's obviously an improving sort. And you can see by the way he runs that he's still got a lot to learn.
What were the comments from Glenn Hatt?
Glenn said he dropped a bit on him on the turn, got into him, and once he got going, he says he gave him a hell of a field. You know, he's got a very good kick, and he likes to get into a scrap. He puts his ears back, and you know, he wants to put his head down first.
Now, obviously, when you look at him walking around in the morning, he's a very laid-back horse. He looks like he's got a beautiful temperament.
Very laid-back. You know, he is still a colt, and absolute pleasure to work with. Not much phases him. Pretty lazy horse in the morning as well, which does help. I mean, they never really overexert themselves. So, yeah, he's, you know, what started out a problematic horse early on as a 3-year-old. In fact, he came very close to us giving him away. But we just persisted on the treadmill with him, and eventually he just sort of sounded up reasonably, and we put him back in work, and what you see is what we got now.
Yeah, obviously, when you look at his pedigree, I spoke to a gentleman who I consider to be one of the leading pedigree analysts in Australia, and I mean, there's just an incredible amount of depth in his pedigree, but on the face of things didn't look that rosy. It was really in the depth of his pedigree that he turned out to be a really smart horse.
Yeah, Andrew, I think, you know, the pedigree gurus will go back a million generations to find some reason why it can run. Funny they don't find them at the sales. But not a pedigree I know a lot about. I know Nadim's the son of Redout's Choice, I think it is,
yeah,
who's been a prolific sire in Australia. You know, it just seems as if Nadim hasn't really done the job. Yet we've had 2 years, one's an Oaks winner and the other one's is him, you know. So, you know, maybe it's the female lines that are coming through from Sheikh Hamdam's Shadwell stud, but, you know, to be honest, who knows really at the end of the day. I mean, when it comes to genetics, I don't think anybody's got the answer, you know. Otherwise it would be easy. We'd go to the sales and you know exactly which one to buy.
Yeah, hundreds. Well, look, when he won his first start, he beat a horse called King Neptune. There were 4 winners out of that form line, which, you know, obviously augured well. What did you think when you nominated him for his first start?
Listen, he was showing us enough that he looked like that he could run, because he's a funny horse, and anything you trialled him with really never got away from him. It didn't matter what you put him with. Even though he'd be under a little bit of pressure to be with them, they would never get away. And so we thought, there's obviously something there. And, you know, in his first start, he actually nearly gets beat because, you know, Kevin just tended to relax on him the last little bit. And he's a very lazy horse. If you do that, he's going to drop the bit on you immediately. But you could see then, you know, he come from a way back, he kicked hard. I don't know, you get a feeling sometimes that there's a lot more than what they show you.
When he beat Always Al, who is a hard-knocking, consistent sort, a very talented son of Captain Al, there are 9 winners that come out of that form line and a whole lot of seconds. I mean, that must have really made you sit up and take note.
Yeah, it was. It was a very tough handicap. A lot of good handicappers, horses that have been tried and tested and have gone round and round the block 100 times. So, you know, he was still very green, only his second start, and still managed to win. That is, you know, it's the one start. And in fact, I said to Angus after that, I think we could have something on our hands here, you know, because he had no right to win that, really, on paper, and he produced the goods.
And then, of course, he comes out and he beats a horse that is very, very highly rated in Mesa, a horse that's been talked about for the Summer Cup. And, I mean, his form was very good.
Yeah, his form is good. Yeah, he had won a few on the trot, and I think we were coming off a bit of a rest. He wasn't anywhere close to a peak. Again, hit the front early, dug down deep, wouldn't let them past. You know, showed his true character there again.
And then, of course, in hindsight, you've run 4 out of the first 5 places in the charity mile. Because you did say in your pre-race interview that you thought that the 10 furlongs was going to be much more up his alley.
I think the way he runs as well. If you look at that race, the 10 furlongs is going to be better for him. But I think the further he goes, the better he'll get. But certainly, you know, he had to run above his rating, which he duly did. He got a £4 penalty for the race. And again, you know, I still think he's underrated. You know, he will still improve further, but I mean, he can only be rated on what is exposed at the moment. So I feel he's still got a few pounds in hand.
What do you think they used as the line horse?
Well, you know, sometimes your guess is as good as mine when it comes to handicappers. But I know that they used Meta Magic as the line horse. He got a £4 penalty. White Line Fever got a £3 penalty. You know, Silver Flyer, had he not been interfered with, I think could have run third and he would have been the line horse. But, you know, look, the penalty was fair.
But you were very gracious in the way that you said in your post-race interview that White Line Fever might possibly have been penalised too heavily in his last victory.
Yeah, well, if you think of it, he's got £9 for winning a Pinnacle Plate and running second in a Group 2. Certainly if those £6 are off his back, I don't think we get past him. You know, the handicapper's going to stick his chest out and say he got it right. I'm going to say he got it wrong because he got the horse beat at the end of the day. Albeit a short head, doesn't matter. You know, that horse probably deserved the win. He got a crazy penalty. He beat a decent horse in Ice Machine prior to that, but third and fourth were very ordinary. Again, what do you take as your line horse? You know, again, you know, very contentious point when it comes to handicapping. But he was given quite a harsh penalty, albeit he got beaten a short head. But I reckon that cost him the race.
Now, finally, when you look at Betting World, he is at the top of the bookmakers' betting boards to give you your 11th Summer Cup, 5-1 the price, and I think you've got the second and third favourite as well, just about in that order. But the reality is a horse that's all of a sudden become the focal point of the De Kock yard, whichever way you look at it.
Yeah, sure. Look, he's probably a talking horse now, and I suppose he deserves to be at the top of the boards. He's still a horse that, I mean, do we really know how good he is? You know, every time you expose him to more, he does the job. Only just, but does it. He's going into Group 1 race now. Very similar sort of field. £4 penalty, you know. Him and White Line Fever should be on top of each other again. One got a £4, one got a £3 penalty, so they're meeting on very similar terms. He goes up £4 with a horse like Silver Fly, who ran a cracking race in that race, so the silent partner. I think they'll be the principal contenders. Then obviously, you know, the rest are in the Victory Moon. One will have to gauge and see how they go. But certainly, I would say in the field that he beat on in the charity mile, that you know, you'd have the 3 horses to beat again: Silver Fly and White Line Fever.
Well, I love the crack of the grooms in the morning when I position my camera filming him. You can sense that they know that I'm there for a particular purpose, and you just hear the whisper of MUJAARIB down the line, and obviously they know that this is a special horse.
Sure, yeah. You know, his groom was quite emotional if you saw him afterwards, which I was actually quite touched by, because, you know, you don't often expect them to be that emotional about their animals, but you see a man that was that passionate and that emotional. He was in the tears in the number 1 box. Unbelievable. I've never seen it before.
Yeah.
And so to the trophy presentation to Victoria's groom, Humphrey Nksana. He is the man that groomed Argonaut when he was racing, and so too Eventuale. Then it was Glenn Hatt's chance to receive his winning trophy from Her Serene Highness, Princess Charlene of Monaco. But what about the 4th horse, Silver Flyer?
Yeah, look, I think Silver Flyer looks like he's coming the right way. It was his second run back today. This horse obviously will improve. I don't see the handicapper making too many adjustments. The horses are all very close to each other, so probably meet at similar weight conditions.
Bob Urim presents Mike De Kock with his trophy before Bailey Schneider has her say.
I have not stopped going crazy. I am so thrilled. I am so excited, and I knew it was going to happen. I have been feeling lucky since I woke up this morning.
Yeah, and imagine if you also finished last or something. You'd have got something, but it's like a dream come true to get the #1 box.
Absolutely, and at the end of the day, the real winner is the charity,
Absolutely.
and that's the Animal Anti-Cruelty League, and I am just absolutely thrilled to represent.
And Chief Executive Officer of the Piedmont Empress Palace Group, Anthony Pattergill, presents Diane de Kock with her winning trophy for Sheikh Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum.